Recent heatwaves and wildfires in Europe and North America have once again highlighted the growing impact of climate change on a global scale. Australia in particular is viewing the future with growing concern. Climatologists and emergency workers there are facing the prospect of another serious bushfire season, sparked by a combination of global warming and the expected arrival of the El Nino weather system. Roger Maynard reports from Sydney.
3 years ago, Australia was in the grip of one of its worst natural disasters in living memory. 33 people died in the flames, more than 400 were killed by smoke inhalation, 80% of the population were either directly or indirectly affected by the bushfires, and over 1 billion native animals were burned to death. This coming summer has the potential to unleash much the same conditions as the 2019-2020 bushfire crisis. And that's a big worry for fire chiefs like Rob Rogers.
So we're seeing the prospect of a drier fire season and certainly the prospects of a winter, a very dry winter, and we've already seen June and July were very dry months as far as lack of rainfall. So those are indicators to show that we're going to have some, I guess, busy periods, certainly in spring, and if we do get an El Nino event, then of course throughout summer the risk is that we're going to get more elevated temperatures and less rainfall again throughout summer.
It's the arrival of the El Nino weather pattern, which is caused by warmer temperatures in the Pacific Ocean, that's one of the biggest worries. It usually heralds drought and much hotter weather in eastern Australia. And according to the World Meteorological Organization, it's already forming.
The tropical Pacific Ocean is currently experiencing El Nino condition, and this is a result of rapid and substantive change both in the atmosphere and in the ocean.
It's really, really concerning. When you add in El Nino, a degree or two difference, that can really mix things up and make them extremely dangerous because you've got more chance of drought, very high temperatures, the extremes are more extreme. So we, as firefighters, we fear El Nino.
The problem is no two El Ninos are the same, and while the current bushfire threat is low, Australia's Bureau of Meteorology has been uncertain about declaring an El Nino event or how long it might last.
The climate models are indicating that it's at least going to be through spring and potentially through summer and maybe into autumn as well.
Whatever its duration, emergency services will be there to fight the consequences, and they just won't be relying on traditional firefighting methods. This time, they'll be harnessing artificial intelligence.
Because we could have 100 fires burning at any one time, and having people that can look at that and say what's our biggest priority right now is a tough gig. It's a pretty hard thing to do, and as you get more and more busy it gets harder. So we're looking at now and we're using AI to look at each fire and saying what's the potential, how many properties are going to be affected in the next couple of hours, and ranking those for us.
It's a big leap from the more orthodox firefighting skills, but in the fast-changing world of climate change, science will clearly play an increasingly important role in mitigating the impact. Greg Mullins, who's been fighting fires since the 1970s, is so worried about the growing threat that he founded the Emergency Leaders for Climate Change Action Group. As a former fire commissioner himself, he has first-hand knowledge of dealing with the sort of crisis posed by the disastrous fires of 3.5 years ago.
We had fire-driven thunderstorms above us, trees that round being snapped off like toothpicks, fire trucks lifted up and dropped on their roofs. So it was just frightening.
I don't like this. Nah, out.
The prospect of another bushfire crisis this summer is clearly alarming. While no one can accurately predict what's going to happen, the early signs are not encouraging. After 3 years of rain and excessive bushland growth, a period of drought and a series of heat waves could provide the perfect conditions for another season of wildfires. Roger Maynard, CNA, Sydney.